All right, let's get right into this one. Today's story is going to drag us into the absolute murkiest corners of the internet. We're talking about a story that is dark, it's tense, and it's all about what happens when you're pushed to the absolute edge. Seriously, buckle up. This one gets pretty intense.
So let me just start by asking you this. What would it take? What's that breaking point where you'd be willing to risk everything just for a chance to change your life? I want you to really think about that, because the guy at the center of our story, well, he just hit that point.
So, let's meet our protagonist. And look, he wasn't just having a bad day. He was having an absolutely catastrophic month. You know how it is. One bad thing happens, then another, then another. He lost his job, his girlfriend left him, his car got completely wrecked. He was at rock bottom, just mindlessly scrolling through the internet, trying to find anything to distract him from the total disaster his life had become.
And that's when he found it. But this wasn't your typical distraction. This was like a digital rabbit hole that took him from the everyday websites we all know and dropped him straight into the shadows of the dark web. It all started with this one link on a really shady subreddit. He probably should have known better, but he clicked it. You know, maybe he thought it was just some creepy story, a hoax. And after fighting his way through dozens of pop-up ads for who knows what, he finally landed on a site. And on it, just 2 words in this weird, bold, red font: Death Race.
The website itself was basically nothing, just this black background with a very simple, very stark offer. Survive a race against time, and you win $100,000. Now, for a guy who felt like he had nothing left to lose, that number, it wasn't just tempting, it was a lifeline. So he clicked to join.
The second he hit that button, his entire screen went pitch black. For a few seconds, there was just nothing. And then, new text started to slowly fade in, and this whole thing went from a weird online gamble to something terrifyingly real. The rules of the game appeared.
And the rules were, well, brutally simple. You have 30 minutes to prepare. You have a 3-hour window to survive. And you're not just running against a clock. You're being hunted by someone or something named Smiley Jack, who is being sent to give him, and I quote, a happy day. Whatever excitement he felt just evaporated. It was replaced with pure, cold fear.
And while he's just sitting there frozen, a little notification pops up on his screen. A new bid. The number keeps going up and up. And that's when it hits him. He's not just a player in a game. He's the entertainment. A whole crowd of anonymous people out there were placing actual bets on whether he would live or die. So what's his first instinct? Of course, call the cops. He grabs his phone, starts dialing 911, and before he can even hit the last digit, a new message flashes on his computer screen. If I were you, I wouldn't do that. They were watching. They were watching everything. He was completely trapped. There was no calling for help. He had to run.
So he just bolts. He runs out of his house and into the cold night air. The game wasn't on a screen anymore. Oh no, this was real. This was physical. And the hunter was coming. His phone kept buzzing, the timer ticking down, the betting pool getting bigger and bigger. The audience was growing.
And then he saw him. Standing under a street lamp about 100 feet away was a figure. This person was wearing a white suit, but it was splattered with all these different colors of paint. And the face? It was a blank, white, plastic mask with this crude yellow smiley face drawn on it. No emotion, nothing. Just this fixed, awful grin. The threat was absolutely real.
As he's running for his life, his phone buzzes again. The betting total had jumped to $35,000, and there was a message with it. You seem to be the crowd favorite. The entire world, it seemed, was watching, cheering, and betting on his death. He was just part of the show.
He's desperate, obviously, so he just starts sprinting towards the faint lights of town up ahead. And for just a second, it looked like he might have actually found salvation out there in the dark.
He sees a Shell gas station, like a beacon in the night. And there's a guy there, a truck driver, filling up a big dark blue truck. A real person, a potential ally. Maybe, just maybe, he was safe. He ran right up to him, completely out of breath.
And the truck driver, he seemed genuinely worried. He offered help, asked if he needed a doctor, anything. And for a split second, our guy just felt this wave of relief wash over him. He tried to explain, stammering about a game, about this man trying to kill him. And the driver listened, his face full of shock.
But then the driver wasn't looking at him anymore. His eyes were fixed on something right over his shoulder. And then he just collapsed. A red stain was spreading across his shirt, and you could see the yellow tip of a blade sticking out of his chest. Smiley Jack had been right there, silent the entire time. In the chaos that followed, our guys scrambled into the dead man's truck, but not before Smiley's knife sliced right through his forearm.
So now he's speeding away down this deserted road, bleeding, in total shock. He fumbles with the glove box, and inside he finds a first aid kit. A small miracle, right? But as he goes to put it back, he sees something else, tucked way in the back. A pistol. And just like that, wounded and terrified, he finally had a way to fight back.
And this was the turning point. Holding that weapon changed everything. He wasn't just the prey anymore. No, he was going to turn around and confront the man behind that awful smile.
And then, out of nowhere, flashing lights in his rearview mirror, the police. But this was no rescue. The officer, probably suspicious about the blood on the truck, gets out and is immediately, brutally killed by Smiley Jack. The message was crystal clear. Nobody was coming to save him. He was completely on his own.
What happened next was just a desperate, bloody brawl. He emptied the pistol into Smiley's chest, but it had no effect. They wrestled over the dead officer's revolver. He managed to get a shot off, just blowing Smiley's hand apart as the killer lunged with the knife. Now both guns were empty. The fight just evolved into this raw, brutal struggle, fists and fury, and it ended with him turning the killer's own knife on him before finally shattering that Smiley mask with his bare hands.
So there he is, standing there, panting, over the unmasked, broken body of his attacker. He glances down at his phone, which buzzes one last time. When he looks back up, the body was just gone, vanished. The only thing left was a dark stain on the road. It was as if Smiley Jack had never even been there.
The fight was over. He survived. But winning the death race, as it turns out, comes with a pretty horrifying curse, an inescapable ending to the whole ordeal.
His phone screen lit up, just one word: congratulations. The prize money, it wasn't $100,000. It was $2.6 million. He had survived. He was a millionaire. But somewhere in that bloody fight on the side of the road, the victim had died, and a monster had been born in his place.
And that brings us to the end. These are his words now, the ones he posts from his own computer. He says the death race gave him a new job, a new confidence. And he encourages anyone out there, if you ever find that link, to go ahead and click it. Because now, he's the hunter. He's the one who's going to put on the mask and give you a happy day. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? That when you stare into the abyss of the internet, sometimes it doesn't just stare back, it offers you a job.